In the year 3028, Earth was no longer the green planet described in history books. Fertile lands had turned into deserts, oceans were poisoned, and the atmosphere had thinned so much that sunlight could scorch any living thing without protective shields. Over 90% of the world's population now lived inside domed cities, massive, self-sustaining habitats completely isolated from the outside world. Our main character, Aiden, age 17, was born and raised in Dome City 7, part of the North Pacific Union. Every day in his life was a dull repetition. Wake up, study in virtual classrooms, eat auto-prepared meals, train physically under scheduled programs. He always felt that life inside the dome wasn't truly living. One night, while trying to hack into the internal network to access a banned game, Aiden accidentally intercepted a strange signal coming from outside the dome. It was an ancient code, using a radio wave format abandoned since the 22nd century. The signal carried a single message. "We are still here. Sector 11. Outside." Aiden's heart pounded. Outside? No one could survive outside the dome. Everyone knew that, or at least everyone believed it. The very next morning, Aiden decided to trace the signal's origin. He downloaded old maps of the area around Dome 7 and pinpointed coordinates near what used to be the city of Seattle, a restricted zone now buried under ash and time. He couldn't tell anyone, not even his mother, because every dome resident was implanted with a tracking chip and constantly monitored by the central AI. With a heart burning with curiosity and hope, Aiden began preparing for something no one had dared do in centuries. Leave the dome. Aiden ventured deeper into the forsaken land. Strange sounds echoed through the ruins, wind howling through shattered windows, creaking metal, and noises he couldn't even name. He started to wonder, was this a trap or just a hallucination? About 2 hours later, Aiden's locator began to blink. He had arrived at the source, but instead of a transmitter or some kind of machine, he found a hatch camouflaged carefully among the debris. He tapped 3 times, just as the original signal instructed. Moments later, machinery whirred and the hatch slowly opened. A staircase led downward into the earth. There was no turning back. Aiden took a deep breath and descended. Below ground was a completely different world. Dim lights glowed on old concrete walls. The air smelled of dampness and metal. But most importantly, voices, laughter, conversation. A woman wearing a synthetic fiber coat approached him. She looked to be in her 30s with bright eyes and cropped hair. "Welcome to Sector 11. I'm Mira," she said clearly. Aiden was stunned. "How are you?" "Alive out here," Mira smiled. "We never believed what the domes told us. When the environmental wars broke out, some of us chose to leave the system. We built our own shelters, started restoring the land. No one knew we were still alive until our signal found you." Aiden looked around. Children were playing, adults working on water purifiers and small hydroponic gardens. He felt something he had never experienced inside the dome. Freedom. But Mira continued, her tone more serious. "The central AI surely knows you're gone. They won't let this go." Aiden was taken to the central hub of Sector 11, where the data servers, air filtration stations, and an old but still functioning control board stood. Mira introduced him to a small group of engineers and scientists, people who had once lived in the domes but escaped years ago. "We've been collecting data from forgotten satellites and still functioning surface devices. What we discovered is hard to believe," said an older man named Elias. They showed Aiden real-time satellite images. Not all of Earth was the wasteland the domes claimed. Some areas, especially in South America, Northern Europe, and Africa, were beginning to recover. "The domes don't want people to know the truth," Mira said. "If they knew the world was survivable, they wouldn't accept being imprisoned." Aiden was stunned. His whole life he believed the domes were protecting humanity, but now he realized they were controlling it through fear. Elias continued, "We need someone like you, young, brave, and able to return inside. If you can bring proof back into the dome, you could awaken an entire generation." Aiden stared at the screen. New green forests sprouting, clean rivers flowing through valleys, and something ignited inside him. "So what's the plan?" Aiden asked, voice firm. Mira smiled gently. "You will be the seed of resistance. We'll train you. When you return, you won't be a curious boy anymore. You'll be the bearer of truth. Aiden nodded. Fear no longer held him. Only determination remained. 3 months later, Aiden was no longer the confused, uncertain boy who first stepped outside the dome. In Sector 11, he had trained in security evasion, survival skills, covert communication techniques, and most importantly, how to inspire others. He carried a data drive containing satellite imagery, voice recordings, and testimonies from survivors. Undeniable proof that Earth was recovering. The night he returned to Dome 7, the sky was blood red. He slipped back in through the old tunnel, avoiding all cameras and thermal sensors. His first destination was the academy, where hundreds of teens like him were being educated with twisted truths. He connected the drive to the central display system. When the main screen lit up and showed images of the outside world, lush trees, clear skies, laughing children in Sector 11, the entire auditorium fell silent. Then someone started crying. Others asked, "Is this real?" Aiden stepped onto the stage. "We've been lied to. Earth isn't dead. We don't have to live like prisoners anymore. Out there, there's life. There's hope." Moments later, the alarms blared. The central AI detected the breach and dispatched security forces to the academy. But it was too late. Hundreds of students had already copied the data to their personal devices, spreading it through the internal network. The wave of truth spread faster than any barrier. Within 48 hours, protests erupted across Dome 7. Many demanded to go outside. For the first time in centuries, the central AI faced a control crisis. Aiden was no longer just a person. He had become a symbol. Earth never needed the domes. It needed the courage to step beyond them. If you like interesting content and don't want to miss the upcoming surprises, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.